Hey everybody, and welcome to a fun live stream today with friends, the founders of Bahamas Strong, Kirsten Stevens, CEO of Clinical Agency, and Danny Albertus, who's the co-founder and director of Bahamas Strong. Just amazing friends, and the work these guys have been doing from day one is extraordinary. And we have tons of great folks that have been involved from the beginning with them, and us significantly involved in the field, and honestly, because it's their team. I can't believe almost 10 months have passed by, and we're still at this. And these guys are doing this every day, feet on the ground, right on the front line. So our hats are always off to them. It's extraordinary people, extraordinary work. So we want to bring them in and say hello. So why don't we start with Kirsten and Danny? And they're going to be introducing some other close friends of all of ours. Hello, Kirsten. ¿Cómo estás? How are you and Danny? I can't believe it's already been 10 months since this. You know, in every tragedy, you have this beautiful silver lining because we've made such wonderful friends and such amazing people step up, like Rob, who we're going to meet, and others. So do you guys want to say hi and talk about how this thing started with Bahamas Strong and where it's going now? And I know there's this exciting transition with Susan and her team. And so go ahead, talk about where it started and where it's going.
Yeah. No, it's been quite a ride. I cannot believe it's been 10 months. And interesting, you just mentioned, Pachi, bringing people together, and you're actually one of those catalysts. So we have you to thank as well for all of the work that you've done to bring together this amazing, amazing group of people. But we really, when we started this effort, it was out of a sense of frustration. You know, you can watch something about to happen and you just feel, what can I do? What can I do? And between my brother, who was born in the Bahamas, and Danny Albertus, you know, we started having these conversations and we're like, what can we do? We have to activate in some way. And of course, we all had relief supplies in our homes and we're thinking, okay, well, we don't need them. So we have to get those to the Bahamas. And how are we going to do that? Yeah. So we started this work very much in a sort of reactive relief mentality, but it quickly evolved into, okay, what are we going to be able to do long term? Because we really want to make some sort of deep impact in these communities. And Danny had the idea that, you know, we should be sort of a catalyst and an intermediary for funds, for access, for resources, for supplies, connecting people, bringing them together. And I'll let him talk a little bit more about that. But that's how this was all launched.
Yeah, I think it really helps out to know for context that Kirsten and I are both nonprofit consultants, heavily involved in the nonprofit sector, have also a big background in the corporate world and entrepreneurship. And so for us, it was really a matter of, you know, when the cone started shifting a little bit more, going up the East Coast, and we felt that, you know, South Florida, Broward, you know, Palm Beach was going to be okay and most likely spared. I really had concerns that if this lingered or stayed over the Bahamas, that the damage could have been catastrophic, and unfortunately it was. And so literally a couple of days before the storm, you know, kind of sat where it did for a while, we started talking and chatting, and you know, Kirsten has clients in the Bahamas already and had friends, you know, lifelong friends. And we're really worried. We were like, look, we got to get going. It's going to be a pretty bad storm. And, you know, in the back of my mind, I had the Boston Strong from the marathon bombing and situations like that. And when I went online, and bahamastrong.org was available, and I said, you know what, it's going to be a recovery effort. Let's go and brand Bahamas Strong. And that whole weekend, you know, we while all my neighbors were putting shutters up and still getting water just in case the storm hit here, I was like, you know what, no shutters, no nothing. We got to save the Bahamas. And so, you know, with Kirsten's brother and sister and friends and connections over there, just got to it. Just started saying, all right, we got to have the website. We got to have, you know, the nonprofit set up. We have to have, you know, all our expertise come to play and put this together. And like Kirsten had said from day one, it's like, look, we're Switzerland. You know, we're neutral, and we're not really going to get involved in the weeds of the programs, but we know what an effective program looks like. We know what an effective organization looks like. And we know what funders and donors are looking for. I mean, we do this for a living. Let's do it, you know. We did it all pro bono. Nobody got paid. Probably didn't sleep for the first couple of weeks while, you know, we're getting the pictures back and the videos back. And I got to tell you, from the beginning, it was, you know, super hairy. We're getting, you know, shoddy images and videos of our partners and friends out there on their speedboats telling us, hey, I just spent $25,000 on fuel. Hey, I need to get more money for this. Hey, we have a Black Hawk helicopter coming in. Can you help us out? And just putting all that together, you know, was just an amazing team effort, not just on our part, but I'd argue, say, 75 to 100 individual organizations and people across the coast here, from Miami through Stewart, just in their own boats and getting ready to go out there. And the waters weren't open yet. There was a lot of debris out there. And Kirsten and I got together with some IT folks and some really smart leaders and said, look, we can structure this and be smart about it and have daily phone calls and have an Excel spreadsheet and start tracking who's doing what and who has resources and who has generators and who has boats and who has planes. I mean, at one time we had like 3 Black Hawk helicopters going back and forth. I mean, things that I would never expect.
And I know you guys, Danny, to your credit, I know you and Kirsten with Canico and your agency have set up so many great nonprofits and actually internationally, but probably over 100. And I know that really critical people like Gina with Ed Knowles and also with Will Tomlinson with ID Relief, help all these guys set up with best practices, these great foundations. So it's really with Canico's work. And then these other people who stepped up, like we met you we had seen you on the great work with O'Neill Cosin, Bahamas Cruise and Relief Cruise folks, all those great people we met. But through Rob Cornierans, who's done such amazing work, and he's standing by, it'd be great to bring him in and explain what Rob is doing, because this guy always for Broward County, he's our hero. He's always doing great work and putting people together.
There he is.
This great work that Rob is doing. Well, hello, Rob. How are you, sir?
He's on mute.
You're
on mute, Rob.
Hey, okay, all right. Here I am. Hello, everybody. How's everybody doing today? So, Patchy, thanks so much. And, this is just so amazing how it just started and it keeps growing. I did work after Hurricane Matthew in Freeport. My partner, Bruce, from Freeport Construction. I immediately flew over the day after the storm. Obviously, we couldn't land. I saw the damage on all the Abacos and Grand Bahama. And as soon as we could land, in my King Air, we had supplies going back and forth. One of the trips on the early flights, we actually brought a family of 3 and their dog back. The plane had no seats. And thank God we didn't get stopped by the FAA, but everybody was doing things you don't normally do when things happen. But how could you leave 3 people at the airport, for a 45-minute flight? But after that, we kept on going. My son has a 52 boat. We brought stuff over there. We collected a bunch of product. We sent pallets of tarps over there. I'm in the roofing business, the solar business. So we just helped out a lot. And we all knew that it would come to an end, the emergency relief, and that the islands would still be hurt. And then it was always in the back of my mind. And then I got a call from Lauren, who was working with Kirsten, and said, hey, we got this project. There's a little money left, and they want to do 40 roofs. Can you find some stuff? So we immediately got together. We flew over. We saw Ken over there. We assessed. And then we came back. And we started asking around, and one of our suppliers said, well, I've got branches all over the country. I'll donate 180,000 square feet of shingles. Wow. We just said, wow. So we, and then Gene Fall and Rob Flood, Gene's got plywood donated, and it just keeps mushrooming. Like last week we had, the Alex get on board. He's got labor and a 300-foot ship. I got a call from my partner. He was doing work for another nonprofit out of New Orleans, and so we got him on the phone, and he's going to be training for mold remediation. And it's just, the Holy Spirit's been working this project, and just proud to be part of it. And thanks for everybody that's on it and doing great work.
But to your credit, Rob, it also takes people like you who are willing to leverage their relationships, their connections, their friends, their colleagues for a worthwhile project. That's what it's all about, So thank you. You've done an amazing job. I could never have imagined. I mean, Danny and I just sit back and we think, really, there were 16 people on that planning call last week about the roof, about the, getting that project actually off the ground. And I'm amazed.
Yeah. And it's, and it's amazing when people say things and then deliver. Because Spec, I've got to take care of this guy.
There.
It's been unbelievable.
Yeah.
Well, we got to thank you, Rob.
All right. Am I still on?
Yeah, you're back. We got to thank you, Rob, because he said you got to meet this gal, Kirsten and Danny. They're doing amazing work, and it's turned into this wonderful friendship thanks to you, Rob. And Advanced Roofing and what you've done as a catalyst here, Rob, is amazing. And he's just so Kirsten and Danny and everybody knows, Rob is known for this in the community. He's got this huge heart, helping with kids and education, humanitarian. So thank you, Rob, for putting us all together. And what's the next thing that you're doing, Rob? How many houses in Kirsten, Dan, you guys are going to do how many now? Because the numbers are amazing.
Yeah, I think we're looking at about 60. And that's also through this incredible, so the way this is all gelled as well means that we've had some surplus in some materials, and then there are other entities that have had a little bit of a shortage, but they have a surplus in other things. And so now we've gotten to this great sort of almost bartering system where we say, well, we have this and we need this, so we could actually do 20 more homes if we all get together and pool our resources. So I think we've allowed for this to grow organically as well. And, a big key to that is no ego, right? We just all know this just has to get done. And however that needs to happen is what's going to happen. And we just clear the path and allow people to step up and contribute with what they have to offer. And it's just been amazing. So I think between Rob and then bringing in Jean and Rob Foote, who are also instrumental with all of and all of the suppliers, the wholesalers out there that have stepped up in such a big way. I mean, it's just, and I see the invoices. I know how much money they've contributed and how much they've contributed in supplies. It's astounding. So we really have, I think what we've done, Danny, is exactly what you have always hoped for, which is this collective of people coming together with good hearts from the nonprofit, the for-profit, the foundation side, everyone coming together into this incredible ecosystem. Yeah.
And Kirsten, you're still looking for the help, obviously. So everyone, the scroller below, can you tell people what you need and how they can help? Because a big part of this is to get people knowing that there's still a lot we need to go.
Hey, Patrick. Could I just got to say goodbye. My mom in the middle of this broke her leg. She's 93. I haven't seen her. And she's at the doctor's office, so I'm sneaking in to say hi to my mom. But just want to thank everybody that's on the call. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Rob. Great.
Yeah, we're at a point now where we actually have most of the supplies. We have a lot of them in place already. Of course, with COVID, everything was slowed down a little bit, but the supplies are in place. They're ready to be activated. And we're looking for that last little push of funding to kind of get us through this last stage. And it's roughly about $50,000. It's not a huge amount of money, but it'll really help us with providing meals and transportation to the workers that are going to be helping us. We have volunteers, we have a foreman coming in. So we have some professional expertise to lead the group of volunteers. But I think at this point, it's just that little bit of extra that's sort of going to bridge the gap at the very end to make sure that we can execute. We're not left wishing we had just a little extra to pay for, whether it's security or transportation or the last remaining supplies. We do have a few supplies that we're still missing. So at this point, that's really what we're looking at. But I think also this is an opportunity to thank everyone and to recognize these amazing organizations that have come forward, because it's astounding. And then if we think about the nonprofit partners and what they're contributing, that's a whole other element. So Jen Lockwood from Soul Relief, and I know we have Leticia with us today from...
you want to bring in some of these wonderful friends? Yeah, let's make some introductions and let them say hi. So here we go.
Hi. It's good to be here, guys.
Tell us a little bit about your background and what you're doing with Soul Relief and what your role is in this process.
Well, I am the program director with Soul Relief, and we have been doing a lot of repairs and rebuilding of homes. We are currently working on a 35 home project with the local government authority in Marsh, Harbour, in the central Abaco area. And in addition, we are doing another 9 homes, helping them with their repairs as well, privately. And so we've just been doing a lot of amazing job. We are doing one rehab for a medical worker to get him and his family back positioned on the island, which is very important, you know, with medical personnel right now. Mm-hmm. So we've been doing, you know, jobs on Green Turtle Key. We have done some new constructions on that key as well. Just a lot of amazing helping persons with their groceries. We've just been doing a whole lot. It's been very busy on the side.
Leticia, can you tell everybody where you're from?
I am from Abaco.
Oh, wow.
I was also a part of those persons that was in the storm while it was happening. And, you know, the people of Abaco is just so grateful for everything that is being done by all of the nonprofit organization and really coming in and taking control and just providing help as if it's their own. And, you know, we're so appreciative. And so it's good to be on this side as well, to be able to help persons. And I know the impact that you're making. I personally know the impact that you're making in the lives of persons. And there's still so much that needs to be done.
So this cool shot, Letitia, I don't know which group it was, but these were people who came in, Kirsten and
trauma. Yes, this was our first group of trauma counselors that came into Nassau to work in the shelters and Ramperly homes at the very beginning, just in the first few weeks after the hurricane, because we were very concerned about the impact that this has on mental health and wellness. And it still does, of course. Yeah. But this was the first group that came in, the first 4 trauma specialists that we brought in under Bahamas Strong.
Right after this, we actually brought in some trauma clowns, certified. I know they existed, certified trauma clowns, all the way from Israel. Came in out of international to do some help with kids. Yeah,
amazing. And what it did for the spirits of everyone was absolutely incredible. Yeah,
it reminds me of that beautiful movie with Robin Williams when he worked with the children, the cancer kids, with the whole thing with the boys and the clans. Beautiful. So I know you've got some other amazing friends still in the group.
We do. Oh my goodness. So Jeff and Marsh.
Why don't you bring them all in? Jeff and Ken and I know Andy, they're all sitting there hanging in there. Hey, Jeff.
Jeff.
Hi, guys.
Hi, Andy.
Look at that great group of friends you got here. Go ahead and say hi and make some introductions. Yeah.
Yeah, let's start with Ken.
Hi, Ken Hutton. Here at Marsh Harbour.
And what's your role in all of this, Ken? What have you been doing?
My role is I'm the president of the Chamber of Commerce here in Abaco. I'm located right here in the middle of beautiful Marsh Harbour. I was here through the storm, and we're just trying to focus on getting the business community. It's all connected now. The business community was basically wiped out. All of the downtown core was wiped out. So we're trying to get the businesses back up and running and get the economy going again, but we need people to do that. We need people. We need places for them to live. So we're working very hard with all these amazing people, and you guys.
And to Ken's credit, I'm sure Kirsten and Danny, you feel the same. He's been you talk about catalysts. He's always one bringing us all together. And Ken, I don't know if it's all right to show some of these personal pictures. While you've been an amazing leader in your community, I know that you were kind enough to share. This is I think your wife and your daughter's car. You got power on, thank God, for the first time in 9 months. You just got your power back on.
Just got the power back.
Welcome back to the grid, my brother. Okay, yeah. So on a personal level, because you shared, a lot of people forget how devastating this was. And I think this was the 3rd Cat 5 in 5 years the poor Bahamian communities had to keep enduring. So do you want to talk from a personal perspective, what it meant to you and your family and the community? And then we'll let Andy and Jeff come in. Go ahead.
Sure. This picture, this is my wife's car and my daughter's car.
Wow.
As they were a couple of days after the storm. They're actually located where my daughter was during the storm, and she lived in the 2nd story of this building right behind, and the entire 2nd floor roof went off. And luckily, she was able to swim from the 2nd story balcony during the eye of the storm to a safer location. It was just crazy. We didn't know she was alive or dead for 2 days afterwards.
Incredible. Yeah.
This was taken the day after the storm. That's my wife. This is the floodwaters were still this is the middle of downtown Marsh Harbour. You can still see that the floodwaters are still there. You couldn't drive anywhere, so we had to walk everywhere, and it was people and debris and everything all over the place. And just beyond that was the location of the mud, and that was just a horrific sight after the storm.
Wow.
Powerful.
So, Kirsten, the great work that Andy and Jeff are doing, you want to introduce them, explain what they've been doing with Bahamas Strong, and you and Danny?
Absolutely. So we'll start with Jeff from Lily Renee Foundation. It was wonderful, incredible how in these efforts to really help a community, you bring together people that you've actually had an experience with in another life. And that's the story with me and Jeff. We worked together on a project, gosh, maybe 10 or 15 years ago, Jeff. So it's very nice to come full circle. And Lily Renee Foundation has just stepped up. It's amazing. I don't think there has been one time that I've called Jeff or emailed him or asked him for something and that he said, I don't think we can do that. So Jeff, tell us about your role and what you're helping us with in the Marsh Harbour project.
Sure. Lily Renee Foundation has been on, we were one of the first responders, at least the founder of Lily Renee, Mr. Marvin Arrington, was one of the first responders after the all clear was given with evacuating residents of Abaco from Sandy Point. And since then, we have been in Marsh Harbour in the areas we've worked with UNDP on debris removal of the public schools. We also did debris removal in Green Turtle Key. And now we are hooked up with Bahamas Strong Group, and we are in charge of logistics and labor and stuff like that, taking care of all the containers that come in, moving those around the island. We have access to heavy equipment through a for-profit business that our founder owns as well. So we have a lot of resources available to us, and we're utilizing those to get this project going.
Excellent. Thank you. Yeah, it's amazing what you've done. And then Andy's story is fascinating too, because we're not the only ones doing work in the Bahamas. Obviously, there are many NGOs, many Bahamian groups. There's a lot of efforts on the ground. So Andy, most of your work has been in Grand Bahama. Is that right?
That's correct.
And what your team has been doing.
Yeah. So real quick, I think we've all kind of touched on this, like interesting thing with Bahamas Strong and really the frequency and intensity of storms and how we have to kind of come together as both international NGOs, as local community groups, foundations, corporations to really maximize our impact. Mm-hmm. And I think that's very clear with everyone on this call and many of our partners in Grand Bahama. So we got on the ground initially 3 days after the storm and really focused on bringing in some relief supplies early on to support Rand Memorial Hospital and the local community, but then really wanted to make sure that we were focused on how we can take knowledge that SBP has gained from past disasters like mold remediation training and simplifying that in a way that we could train both contractors and families in Grand Bahama so that they could kind of take charge of their recovery. We also worked in training a lot of other NGOs. So between training contractors, I think SBP, we were able to partner with the Grand Bahama Port Authority and with NEMA, and we trained 30 contractors. We've trained 500 residents, and then our group and our partners have mold remediated over 400 homes in Grand Bahama to date. So it's really nice to be able to share the knowledge that you've gained and provide a greater impact. And I think that's ultimately what we need to do. Mold remediation being the first step before we can start rebuilding homes, right? We need to get them mold free. We need to create a safe and secure environment before we start putting the walls back up, before we start fixing things. So SBP is also working to rehab over 200 houses in Grand Bahama Island, as well as doing some like reverse osmosis water points for the Rand Memorial Hospital and several of the outlying clinics, both in Grand Bahama and Abaco, so that in future disasters, there'll be community water points that can support both the clinics, the hospitals, and the local community.
Wow, absolutely fantastic. I love the whole training and preparing a community to be a little more resilient in the future. That is such a great philosophy. I think we all need to be thinking that way. And in fact, I know that, for example, with Soul Relief, it's really about building back better, right? And making sure that we're setting communities up to weather future storms. I mean, here we are in hurricane season. It's frightening. And it's frightening to think that we still have people that haven't gone back to their homes. How is that possible 10 months later, right? Yeah. So the work isn't done.
It was a week ago. It was Monday, a week past. It was hurricane season just started again, right?
Oh, my goodness.
So to that point, especially with all these great minds here, Ken has been working on something that is in light of what you just talked about, Kirsten, being proactive rather than reactive, and the ability for all of us, different foundations, to work together. We know another one's coming. So whether we like it or not, unfortunately, the Bahamas is the poster child. And as we've seen with their position in the world, it seems to take the brunt of this continually. So There's a lot we can learn by making and supporting the Bahamas and becoming a showcase, to become a resilient showcase of best practices of how we build better, how we can actually have better infrastructure in place to help them get through the next one. But this is an interesting slide that every dollar that's invested on the front end, getting ready, will save 6 on the back end, which is a pretty powerful piece of data. So Ken, your discussions again with all these great groups, and I know you and Sean with his wonderful group at One Eleuthera, we're big fans of Sean. You're talking about this reboot with the businesses, because obviously that drives the economy so people can learn to fish rather than give them the fish. And that particular infrastructure now being rebuilt and rebooting those businesses. You want to talk about your vision with that and how all of our organizations can help you with the community with where you're going for the next step?
Yeah, sure. I mean, on a big picture, 30,000 foot level, you know, we've had the playing field leveled for us. So we're looking at what do we want Abaco to look like in 5-10 years? Do we want to put back the same stuff that we had before? I don't think that's the case. I think what we need to do is look at what happened and how can we build back better? How can we build back more resiliently? And if we're looking at that, let's look at the entire infrastructure of the island. How are we doing with energy? We have 320 days of sunshine a year. Why are we burning fossil fuels? Why can't we do something to restructure our waste, the way we handle waste? We've got lots of debris here. How are we going to handle that? How are we going to rebuild so that in the future we don't have to go through this again? You know, there's amazing technology out there in terms of building. How are we going to build better? Mm-hmm. How are we going to make the Bahamas, or how are we going to make Abaco? We want to make Abaco sort of the laboratory and the showcase of how to do it properly again. So we're working very closely with One Eleuthera Foundation, with Patchy, with Kirsten, with all these amazing people, and it really, you know, from something that goes in that starts in your head, it's really blossomed into something that I think is going to be pretty amazing. And I couldn't thank you guys enough for having faith in us. I know it's been going on 10 months now since the storm, and a lot of people get frustrated because they don't see a lot of stuff going on because of COVID, and you know, just this is the Bahamas. It takes 45 minutes to get a drink here. Yeah. So it doesn't happen at light speed here, but it is happening, and I'm really encouraged by just the participation of everyone that's helped out and continues to help out.
So the help of Kirsten and Danny right now, so everybody again remembers, this is a long tail on this one, long time to the rebuild, as Ken has said. So the link below that you can see here on the ticker, as well as there's links on all the different feeds we have right now. And right now this is being fed onto YouTube and Facebook and LinkedIn. We're so grateful, and Mission Resolved, we're just thrilled and honored to be part of this wonderful family, everybody helping Ken and the group out. Andy, you and Jeff, how do people find out more about your organizations as well? What are your websites? So if people wanted to learn more about how they can get involved with the great work you're doing, supporting Kirsten and Danny, how do they find out about you guys?
Well, I'll go first. So for us, you can reach us at lilyreneefoundation.com. You could research there as far as how to donate, how to help us out. We also have some questionnaires on there as far as homeowners, business owners, stuff like that, looking to rebuild their lives. We can facilitate that any way we can. We're a new foundation, so funding for us is always an issue, and we are constantly looking for funding so we can help as many people as possible.
And that's available on the website. They can make donations there.
That is correct. Everything through the website.
Are you looking for volunteers, materials as well, or is that it's typically just the donations that make the most sense for you now?
Well, volunteers, we had a volunteer day scheduled, but COVID-19 threw a monkey wrench in that. So we're looking at, there's a holiday the first Monday of August, Emancipation Day here. So it's a long 3-day weekend. We're looking to do a volunteer program then. Our social outreach coordinator, she has come up with the name. It's called Done in a Day. It's we take volunteers from Nassau and other islands over to Abaco, volunteer for a day to rebuild. With that, we need supplies, stuff like that. But yeah, so not just money. Anything works. We will take all of it.
Take the love, right? And how about you, Andy? What helps you guys out with the great work you guys do at SBP in terms of volunteers, materials? You want to explain what helps you and where people can find out more?
Yeah, so you can always find out more by going to sbpusa.org. SBP operates around the U.S. and in the Bahamas and Puerto Rico. So you can always find out more information about the work that we do there. For some preparedness and post-disaster resources, you can go to sbpprotects.org. And we have online trainings, videos, downloadable guides that can help with everything from mold remediation to mucking and gutting, and even more specifically, like obtaining the right insurance, how to like prepare for hurricane season and everything, so that people are fortified against future disasters and they don't suffer as long. They can recover much quicker and move on with their lives. As we've seen, it's now 10 months after the storm, and there's many people who aren't back home yet. So we really try to reduce the impact of these storms. We want to impart that knowledge and make sure people are better prepared. So sbpusa.org or sbpprotects.org. And for us, you know, in-kind donations are always great, but, you know, money is the best way for us. You know, if you're donating cash, it's the easiest way for us to fill gaps in our rebuilding and different programming that we're doing. Certainly it's helpful when we have amazing groups working with us and we're able to address some of these needs. But money is always going to be the most beneficial for us. Currently, we're not going to be taking volunteers just due to the COVID situation. We'll evaluate that in the near future, but that's where we're at right now.
Pachi, I just want to say one. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Yeah.
I just wanted to say one last thing, which is the more funds we have, the more we can still help. So we have 60 homes. We could actually repair more roofs. We could help with the community center. So just if people just want to keep that in mind, there's no limit to there is plenty of work still to be done in the Bahamian Islands. So we want to leave that wide open in case people feel very motivated to help. There are still ways that you can help and that we can continue to do more good. And I think also just thanking the foundations that have stepped up, Mission Resolve Foundation for being an incredible connector, all of the corporations that have stepped up with their in-kind donations. It's astounding, and we are incredibly grateful. And I do want to say that the catalyst for the Marsh Harbour project are my brother Niels Gregory's contacts, his donors who said they wanted to be part of something big. Here it is. We're doing something big.
Great. So maybe lastly, and I want to thank all these great friends for being part of today. Ken, on your side with the chamber, and then maybe great for Danny and Kirsten to talk about this next exciting phase of where Bahamas Strong's got this new vision and kind of the next leg. What does the chamber need in terms of, are you guys looking for volunteers, and how can people support the community directly? Because every time I talk to you, you're on a forklift or taking some big box to some family, or God bless you for all the work you're doing. How can people help you?
Right now, I mean, that's a difficult question. I mean, the chamber really, our focus is on trying to get the business community back. One of the things that really is an issue for us is the fact that there's very little, you know, most of these people, Abaco was very small businesses, you know, very small businesses, maybe maximum 4 to 10 people maximum. And what's happened is, you know, there's a complete lack of facilities for those businesses currently because everything was wiped out. There's a complete lack of ability for people to access capital. The banks were wiped out. There's no banks here. Well, there's one. So you know, in order for people to, you know, if they had a coffee shop or a donut shop or a bakery or a clothing store or something like that, it's all gone. And most of them really didn't have the capacity to finance the reopening. They don't have that kind of capital. So it's going to be a tough slog here to be able to get our business community back up and running. And, you know, there are some programs that are available for small businesses. But again, when you're talking about a clothing store that has to reopen, it's probably going to cost $15,000 to $20,000 to renovate and get a store open, and then probably another $10,000 to $20,000 for inventory. The maximum that's available right now through the various programs is about $5,000. So, and the banks are definitely not lending. They have no appetite for Abaco at the moment. So if there are programs available for entrepreneurs, either through grants or through some equity financing or through small business loans, it could be accessed into the Bahamas. Those programs are definitely welcome and critically needed right now, because we want our people back, but in order to get them back here, they have to have a place to live and they have to have a job. And right now, Abaco is basically a construction site. We have no restaurants, we have no bars, we have a food store, and we got some lumber yards. So,
and they have Ken Hutton. All right.
So it's not the most conducive place to raise a family yet. It will be. Again, we just need to get our community. We need to get our business community back. And
when it's safe, the tourism is so important to you guys because it's a huge economic driver. When people feel safe and that time is right, the best way to help the Bahamas, in addition to donate cash and time, is to go there and experience the amazing people. And the spirit of this community is just so inspiring to us all. And by the way, for all of you guys for Mission Resolve, and we're so grateful to the thousands of people that have given either money or products or volunteered with us. By supporting any one of these organizations, that's why we're just honored to support Kirsten and Danny and all these organizations. Any one of these organizations you go to and provide support is going to the right place. And these are really the people that are on the front lines getting it done. So Kirsten, to that point, I know you and Danny, the next step for Bahamas Strong with the wonderful work that Susan and Alessandra Haloesco have, and then we're huge fans of their board, Barry Rassin, who is absolutely amazing with Rotary International, and then our dear friend from Idea Relief, Will Tomlinson, who we all adore. This is a new life for your brand as you hand it over to this amazing group that's working with Ken and the group. So you want to talk about the next step, Danny and Kirsten, what's going on before we wrap up so people know the next step for you guys?
I'm going to let Danny talk about that. Go ahead, Danny.
Fantastic. Yeah. So, our idea with Bahamas Strong was always to not just be a first responder, but really be what I call a last responder. The economic recovery, the mental health recovery. It was going to be a long-term project. And so, as we looked at spinning off Bahamas Strong into its own entity with a structured board and funders and long-term, employees behind it, we really wanted it to be based in the Bahamas by Bahamians for Bahamians. And so through Kirsten's, friends, connections, conversations, we ended up coming across a group of wonderful individuals that in their own right had established what they called the core relief. And they were out there doing something similar to us, just without a lot of the marketing and PR like we had done. And so in conversations with them, we realized that they were going to be the group that we wanted to hand off the brand and the domain and the support staff too. And we did about 2 months ago, we did that handover, and Susan, Larson Haloesco and Alessandra and some key people over there are really, taking the reins of what the next version of Bahamas Strong is going to be, fully built out, not just for, Dorian and whatever other issues happen to come down the road, but, we've got their back, we're supporting them. We're advising them, and so Kirsten can talk more about it. But we really feel happy with that choice.
It's so exciting for them. And as the founder of Keys Strong, when this thing Irma hit the Keys, I just love that name, and I love what you guys came up with, what it stands for the community, and where it's going. So, on behalf of all of us, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Please give us a like and share this so as many of your friends can see it and support Danny and Kirsten's work and all these great other NGOs that are getting behind the community and Ken with the Chamber. We're so grateful for all you guys taking a minute to join us today as our panelists, and we welcome you back. I think, Ken, we're going to be doing a show soon on this whole entrepreneur thing with Sean and Wanaluthra and jobs and mentoring and getting these businesses going and getting that economy rocking again, right? So please join us for that. Give us a like. Please share this. Thank you so much, Kirsten and Danny. Amazing work.
Thank you.
Jeff, you guys are rock stars. Keep up the great work, and we're honored as always, Ken, to be hanging out with Mr. Hutton on Abaco. So we'll be back soon. Thank you all for joining. We'll see.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for everything.
Thank you for hosting us, Bud.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mission Resolve Foundation.